I pretty much never watch the news and like barely really don't pay attention to politics at all. I never really understood why people paid attention to that stuff so much. I mean, I guess if you're sort of only looking at like kind of positive stuff in the news or just looking at it a little bit, it's all right. But I just never got the point. Like, especially in the US, the news here is so negative and it's just so sensationalized, and I think it makes people worry a lot about stuff that is like not, that there's no point in worrying about and that you can't do anything about anyway, and that is a lot of times is pretty irrelevant. Even like when you look at there's so much stuff where the news is just so negative. And I don't see how it really benefits anyone's life looking at it. A lot of the stuff too that people get passionate about, for like news sort of stuff, you can tell it just makes them really angry. Like, I don't know, stuff that people go picket about or just all sorts of crap. And really, like the news too, a lot of the political stuff is very one-sided. And like in my opinion, news should be like neutrally reporting things. They shouldn't just be like bashing one political party and then talking good stuff about the other side. And I just think a lot of it is so fear-based and so bad. Like, I don't like they're like the whole Y2K thing. I don't know if you remember that. I assume that was probably something that was exaggerated a lot by the news. I'm not sure, but if it's not, it seems it's something that would be. People were freaking out. They thought the internet was going to break, or the something, I don't know, the world was going to break when the year 2000 happened. Literally nothing happened. Another thing with like the whole lockdown situation, you know, like the news is making everybody scared and everything, a lot of it. And it's like, I don't know, in my opinion, I thought something that they should have been saying, like on the news a lot, which I don't think they really did, was like, you know, I think you're more likely to get sick if you're like not exercising, if you're stressed, or, you know, something that leads to stress is not socializing. Like, you're more likely to get sick. You're more likely for the sickness to be worse if you're like stressed out and you're not socializing and stuff. And, you know, I think a lot of the people that were dying from the thing were overweight too. Like a lot of the thing, people need to like be healthier, especially in the U.S. Like the diet people eat here is so unhealthy. Like that, like I think heart disease is the number one killer. It probably kills a lot more than the whole thing that happened during the lockdown. But you know, people aren't freaking out about that. It's like not on the news and stuff. People are wearing masks and freaking out and everything, but then I don't know, people aren't throwing out or completely changing their diet. I don't think people really did that during COVID. I don't know. Maybe some people did. And then the whole political thing is crazy. Like, I don't know, like my mom is like super into Trump. And then anything that like political party doesn't agree with, or I don't know, Trump doesn't agree with, or whatever, she like hates it. It's like this hatred. Like she just freaks out about it. It's like, well, just because the one political party says it's not good doesn't mean that like it's necessarily bad or good or whatever. Like, you can have opinions in the middle. I don't know why everyone like they think it's like one side or the other. You know, I think that there's a lot of issues that I think that there's no right or wrong too. Like both sides are usually have good points and good sides to their argument. They're just different opinions, and a lot of times I think the right or wrong thing to do could be in the middle. And what one side believes, like, you don't have to agree with every single little thing. You can be half and half on one side or the other. And then I have other friends that hate Trump, and they're like terrified if he's going to become the president. I mean, I don't know, from what I've noticed, I'm 36 years old now. I've noticed that my life has pretty much not changed at all from when the presidents changed. Like, my life didn't really change much due to Trump being president. I don't think my life has really changed at all since Biden has been president, or when Obama was president, or Bush was president. I think that a lot of people like kind of exaggerate the amount of power that the president has. I don't think the U.S. is going to change that much because one president, or depending on who is president for the next 4 years. I think people tend to, they blame problems that they have in their own life on the president or whatever political party is going right now. Like my mom, she thinks that like Trump made the economy great and then Biden ruined it or something. I don't know. And then I was saying that like, well, I think a lot of the inflation and the problems in the economy were due to all the money printing that was going on during the lockdown. And then she was saying, well, they didn't do any of that when Trump was president. Well, actually, they sent out a bunch of those relief checks. They had Trump's name on the checks. There was a bunch of money that was printed and sent out when both Biden was president and when Trump was president. And I think that would have happened basically no matter who was president. But I just think it's kind of pointless to pay attention to this stuff too much. Like, most of the people that pay attention to this stuff, they can't do anything about it. Like my friends that like hate Trump, they're always watching this news about him and stuff, and it's like, why? What? And now they just have all this fear if he's going to become president. Well, I think that nothing is going to happen. Like they think it's going to, like the government, the world is, our country's completely going to change if he becomes president. Like probably not that much will change. He's already been president and didn't seem like much has changed. And all it does is it just gives them more fear in their life. I don't even know why they pay attention to it at all. Like them paying attention to it or watching it, they're not doing anything to change it. Like they can't really do anything to decide whether Trump is president or not. In my opinion, there's no point in even paying attention to it at all. And it's like, why pay attention to like negative stuff that's going on? There's really no point. If the news is more positive stuff or even more just neutrally related stuff, I think it would make a lot more sense to pay attention to it. But in the US especially, it's just really, really bad. Me personally, I think I do like to pay attention to the news and events and stuff a bit more, like worldly events though, because for one thing, you could be kind of naive or an idiot if you know nothing. And then also another thing is like the really important stuff that happens, your friends are going to tell you about it. Like you're going to hear about it without watching the news anyway. But then if you're I think one thing really good though to learn about is like, looking at stuff that's going on in much poorer countries or really bad stuff that's going on in like countries that have wars in them now. I think it can be important to watch that stuff to know like actually how good we really have it here in the US. Like people are freaking out over who's going to be president. It's like you could live in a country where there's a war going on and like be dying from starvation or like radiation, or you could have lost a leg from like a bomb going off or something. Like I don't think it's that big of a deal who the next president is really. And the thing is, living in the US, we have such an access to like wealth here. We can easily go move to a cheaper or to another country where it's way cheaper to live anyway. And there are all sorts of ways to make money using the U.S. economy, like online, or there's it's easy to get a bunch of jobs. You can work remotely now. You can go live in another country if you want. Why complain about what's going on here? I think we're really, really lucky. Like anyone lucky enough to be born in the U.S. is extremely lucky. There's probably other countries or other areas where maybe you would have been a lot happier, you would have liked it a lot more, but there are many places where it could be way, way, way worse than here in the U.S. And yeah, I think the U.S. has some horrible news as well. At least the news is like a free market basically, so it's not like you're living in a country with a dictatorship where the news is like totally controlled or anything like that. But it's just, why pay attention to the negativity when there's so much great stuff going on? Like this view right here. It's amazing. I'd rather come up here, get away from technology, get away from the news, Honestly, like when people talk about politics, that get like my mom and my friends I was talking about, they just get way too passionate about it and are super one-sided. I can't even stand like being in the same room as them. I don't like talking to them. Especially my mom, she'll try to talk about it to people like my dad or me who just aren't on the same side as her or don't really care. It's just kind of annoying, to be honest. But yeah, I would recommend, at least trying to stay away from the negative stuff in the news. I don't think really anything good is going to come about it in your life. Paying attention to stuff like that, worrying about stuff like that.